There's a few brand new Nintendo Switch stories we have to talk about today, starting with a surprise delay announcement from Nintendo directly around their upcoming film, as it is now going to be slated for a 2023 release. Then we also have to cover a big problem with how Sega is handling the lead up to the Sonic Origins collection, as they will be planning to permanently delist classic Sonic games. Then the big talking point for today's video has to do with further proof that Game Boy Advance emulation is indeed being worked on from Nintendo, and we have to have a broad conversation on when we can expect this to launch on Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we got a few different stories we got to cover today, and we have to kick it off with a surprise delay announcement around the upcoming Mario movie directly from Nintendo. It does appear that they are taking this movie very seriously, and we have heard them say in numerous investors meetings that they are planning to continue to expand the Nintendo universe of products, not just being hardware and software sales, but also including things like theme parks, as we are seeing them do expansions to Super Nintendo World in Japan right now. And we even have a 2023 expectation for the first US-based Super Nintendo World to launch in Universal Studios Hollywood. And they are also doubling down and spending money in the world of film, and Miyamoto himself is heavily involved in this project. And with that, I am fairly confident that this will be a great movie for Nintendo fans to look forward to, and I will definitely be planning on watching it day one. But there was a delay announcement that broke late last night, and to go over the exact details, let's quickly go over the article posted up on VGC where they break down all the details together. The Super Mario animated movie has been delayed to spring 2023. The Chris Pratt film was due to be released on December 21st, 2022. The Super Mario animated movie has been delayed to spring 2023. The news was confirmed today on the Nintendo of America Twitter account with a message written by Shigeru Miyamoto, who is co-producing the film with Illumination CEO Chris Meledandri. This is Miyamoto. The message reads, "After consulting with Chris-san, my partner at Illumination, on the Super Mario film, we decided to move the global release to spring 2023, April 28th in Japan and April 7th in North America. My deepest apologies, but I promise it will be well worth the wait." So while the holiday 2022 time slot does sound excellent for a Super Mario movie to look forward to, it does sound like we have to wait just a little bit longer, roughly a 4-month or so delay. I am looking forward to this movie, but I'm also not super bummed that we have to wait a little bit longer. I'm sure the touch-ups will be worth the wait, as Miyamoto said himself, and I'm hopeful that this spawns an exciting direction of Nintendo movies from here on out, especially if it's widely successful. I'm sure they will continue to double down and spend more money on classic Nintendo franchises, and if done right, it will be a very cool time to experience all of our beloved franchises, and also probably expose an entire new generation to characters that they maybe otherwise may not be familiar with. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below whether or not you're somewhat let down with this announcement, or if you're just like me and you know what, a few more months is no big deal and you are looking forward to the movie, or are you somebody who just really wishes Nintendo wasn't going in the direction of movies at all. So regardless of your thoughts and feelings, I do look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments down below on all things Super Mario movie and this delay announcement. Now, the next story we're talking about today has to do with a brand new announcement from Sega, and really another frustrating message that they are sending to their consumers. Granted, you can argue that this is maybe an expected move in way of generating more revenue with the upcoming Sonic Origins collection, but Sega has essentially officially announced that they will be permanently delisting their digital versions of Sonic 1, 2, 3, and CD across different platforms. Fortunately, Nintendo Switch's Ages collection does appear that it will be untouched, as you can buy Sonic 1 and 2 individually on the eShop right now, but the other versions that were available up to this point in time will now be permanently delisted. And this is clearly being done as these games can be individually bought for quite a bit cheaper than what you could get them in the Sonic Origins collection. And while I've been very hyped for this collection to actually drop, and we do get big upgrades like 16:9 support, Sega is also really fumbling in the sense that they are releasing it across multiple different DLC packs and not just giving us one clear, concise price for this entire collection, and it is digital only, which is also problematic because things like this happen where they choose to permanently delist something. And while I'm not against digital games, this is just the clear downside to them. But before I go into all of my thoughts and opinions around this, I do want to quickly hop over to Eurogamer, where they have a detailed article typed up with exactly what's been said from Sega and how this will affect the currently available digital downloadable Sonic games going forward. Sega delisting standalone versions of Sonic 1, 2, 3, and CD ahead of Sonic Origins arrival. Sega has revealed it'll be delisting the standalone versions of Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, and CD from all digital stores on the 20th of May, just in time, although it doesn't say much, for the arrival of its upcoming retro bundle, Sonic Origins. Currently, standalone copies of Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, and CD can be purchased for between €3 and €4 a piece on Steam and the Xbox Store, putting their combined value significantly below the €32.99 or $39.99 US asking price for Sonic Origins Standard Edition. As of those games delisting on the 20th of May, however, the only way to purchase Sonic's earlier titles digitally will be via Sonic Origins, with the one exception: the Sega Ages version of Sonic 1 and 2 on the Switch will remain on sale. Sega also notes that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 will remain playable as part of the Nintendo Switch Online Plus subscription. So as someone who grew up playing all of the classic Sonic games over the year, I want to be nothing but hyped and positive for this Sonic Origins collection. However, Sega is making it very hard to do so with all of the moves leading up to the release, with of course the big frustrations being the convoluted price around the DLC and the multiple versions of the game, and then getting one DLC for free for pre-ordering it, but then you have to buy it after that, then the big misstep being digital only, and these games really being a little bit pricier than I think a lot of people would have expected. And now to top off all that, we have them delisting classic Sonic games that were available for individual release on a digital store, which, while again, I will say it again, I'm not anti-digital, but there are some serious downsides if you really look at game preservation overall, as when these servers go down and games are delisted, that's it. If you get a system in the future and you want to do the classic collecting like I still enjoy doing for all of the retro consoles that I grew up with, it is not possible because the licensing rights are not continued to be renewed for the games, or there's new collections that come out that have the same games and then the older, cheaper versions just disappear forever. These companies at the end of the day will always be for-profit businesses, and they don't always have the consumer's interests in mind in terms of like long-term enjoyment of your game library. Like if you build up a large physical collection, nobody can take that away from you. And the only issue we are starting to even see on the physical side of things is all of these day one patches and updates and things that hit. But ultimately, as long as it's not like a fully downloadable game that's missing from the cartridge entirely, like we sometimes see on some of these Nintendo Switch larger collections, I am still good with it overall and will always prefer to pick up the games digitally when it's available. I am still hopeful that maybe Sonic Origins will have a physical release at some point in the future, as Sega has historically done that over time, and maybe it includes all the DLC and all of this convoluted pricing issues go away. But at this point in time, I'm definitely feeling frustrated with how Sega is handling the Sonic library of games and the Sonic Origins collection specifically. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below, your personal thoughts and opinions around this. Do you think there are issues with the decisions that Sega's been making recently, and do you think it gets worse from here, or do you think that there is something like a physical release planned and this isn't as big of a deal to you? And definitely let me know how you guys feel personally about digital really becoming more and more prominent in the market, as we are seeing a lot of major releases now sometimes only see that digital run. So I want to hear from you guys on all things Sonic Origins collection and Sega's handling of the situation in the comments down below. Now, the last story we're talking about today is a big update to a story we covered last week on the channel that has to do with those leaked emulators that did appear originally on 4chan from an anonymous user, which of course on face value most people would just dismiss that source entirely. However, upon further inspection, these emulators are legit and they do run on Switch hardware, and there's even development code that does tie it to Nintendo of Europe's research and development team, otherwise known as NERD. And while there was still some calling into question whether or not these were legitimate, a deeper look has now been given from numerous data miners online who are very familiar with development on the Switch, and even MVG, who originally called these into question due to their easy cart reference in the leak, went on to make a video stating that he ultimately does now believe that these are legitimate emulators. And if that's not enough proof for you, we have one more major development that popped up on Twitter today from Mondo Mega, who is a notable Nintendo Switch data miner, and they have the following to say. So this maintenance here a year ago was actually for Sloop, the leaked GBA emulator, same title ID, proof that they naturally continued to work on it past the August 2020 build date of the leak at least. I won't read through the full title ID, but you can clearly see the tweet in reference from over a year ago at this point in 2021 and April 15th, where it was tweeted out that online maintenance was being done for the same title ID that was included in that 4chan leak that does tie this thing to the Sloop emulator. So is Nintendo working on emulation for Game Boy Advance on the Nintendo Switch? It seems like yes, they are, absolutely. Now, will it ever see the light of day and come to Nintendo Switch Online? If I'm a betting man, yes, it will. It will absolutely be a part of the expansion pack service. Obviously, though, Nintendo has not announced this thing yet, so it could be a project that ultimately gets shelved. But if you just look at history and have some rationale, you will know that the Game Boy Advance games were available and individually sold as part of the Virtual Console on the Wii U, and why would they just leave them in the past and not eventually bring them to Nintendo Switch Online if they're trying to grow and expand their user base for this service, which they absolutely are because it is a revenue driving part of their business. Then they will continue to do more value adds, and Game Boy Advance on something like a Nintendo Switch OLED and handheld makes all the sense in the world, and I definitely think we're going to see this come, and I also think we're going to get those Game Boy Original and Game Boy Color library of games over the course of time. Now the big question is when does this announcement happen? Well, it could be as soon as something like the Summertime Direct in June of this year. I personally have my suspicions, as up to this point in time, every time we've gotten a major new console edition to Nintendo Switch Online, it has been in the September Nintendo Direct. So I would place my money on it being at the September Direct event as opposed to the summer event. I still think we're going to get major announcements at the summer event, but I do think that that's more of a N64 future games roadmap update. And then after that full year has gone by, we then get a look at the new family of consoles that will be added into NSO Plus expansion pack. I would like to see Nintendo maybe add Game Boy and Game Boy Color into the base tier of Nintendo Switch Online service, and then add Game Boy Advance to the expansion pack, so that way base tier subscribers are still getting some new functionality, as clearly while we're getting some updates for NES and SNES games, they are not consistent at this point, and it would be nice to have some base tier subscribers get some classic Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on there, the big ones being Pokemon, but I don't know if we will actually see that happen. And then when you look at the Game Boy Advance library of games, it definitely makes sense to position that as part of the expansion pack to add value to the service and continue to make that $50 annual price point more and more worth it. So I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video on all the different stories we talked about today. What do you think about the delay on the Nintendo movie? How do you feel about how Sega is handling the Sonic Origins collection games and delisting the old Sonic games? And then definitely share with me whether or not you do take this as proof that Nintendo is indeed working on Game Boy Advance emulation for the Nintendo Switch and will most likely bring the Game Boy family of systems over to the console as soon as this year, or if you think that this is for some reason still not legitimate and Nintendo has no plans to bring new systems to Nintendo Switch Online. And definitely share with me in the comments down below if we do get GBA games added anytime in the near future, what your personal list of games that you'd be most hyped to play through again. I know mine will personally be Minish Cap and Metroid Fusion, hands down. We also need to get Metroid Zero Mission. There's a huge list that I could go through, but I want to hear from you guys regardless of your thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about today in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Make sure you check out yesterday's video if you haven't already, where we discuss a big update to the story that went viral a week earlier around Breath of the Wild 2 potentially being too big for the base model Nintendo Switch, and the direct source now updating their stance and clarifying what they meant by that. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.